How do you expedite the processing of your reentry permit or advanced parole application? There's a lot of different ways and I want to share that with you. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, this is Joseph. I'm the managing partner here at Tsang Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. So the problem here is that a lot of people need to leave the US pretty urgently. That's why they need to apply for a reentry permit or an advanced parole. But when you apply for a travel permit so you can leave, whether it's the advanced parole or the reentry permit, it takes a long time before everything is done. And so in order to get it fast, you need to expedite it. Let me walk you through what the normal processing is like so you get the full picture and then give you the advice on how to expedite every single step of the way. Let's start with the normal processing. The first thing you do is you want to complete the I-131 application with all the urgency embedded in this application. On the cover letter, explain why your situation is unique and why you urgently need to travel and how long you need to be out. This is important later on because we're going to come back to this reason again and again. We usually include everything and we file it with the 485 adjustment application, or if you're outside of the US and you're a green card holder and you need to apply for a reentry permit once you come back into the US, we file it the day you land. So we prepare everything, the day you land, we file it, and now the waiting time starts. Step 2. Now what happens next is that the receipt notice and the biometrics appointment will come within about 2 months. Now, this is the current processing time. It used to be about 2 months, 4 months, 6 months. That's the longest I've seen, where you have this urgent reason you need to travel, and then you can't even do your biometrics until 4 to 6 months later. After you do the biometrics, after you do the fingerprint, you still need to check if it's valid, because sometimes the machine is broken and so it's not recognized and you need to come back to do a second fingerprint. And sorry, if you've already left, then your case will be abandoned, it will be closed. So it takes a long time, but what if you need to travel urgently? Well, USCIS recently, within the past few months, they changed up the system so it's automatic. So the moment they get it, without a person needing to review your application, it automatically goes to a computerized system and your biometrics appointment gets issued. And so this is within about 2 months. But oftentimes, that is still not fast enough. Step 3, after you get your biometrics completed, it takes about 8 months from what we're seeing now when your reentry permit will be mailed to your house. Once you get your reentry permit, you can more confidently leave the US knowing that within the next year to 2 years after you receive your reentry permit, and that your green card will not be automatically considered abandoned because you left the US for so long. Now, for advanced parole, it's a little bit trickier. We're seeing processing time 10, 15 months and you still don't get it. And now you need to expedite that, and we'll do a separate video just about that. So this is the normal processing, right? Let's say you file the application in May. In around July, you might get your fingerprint. Then 8 months from then, you might be able to get your reentry permit. To a lot of people, that is ridiculous. I need to leave the US urgently, so why am I taking a year before I get my reentry permit so I can travel? And if I don't get it, if I travel, somehow my green card and my green card application is somehow abandoned. That's crazy, right? That's absolutely insane. So let's talk about how to expedite every single step of the process. Let's start with the most urgent of all cases. Maybe somebody, your family relative, is about to pass away. This is the last time for you to see them. Or your company has an urgent project that they need to send you off immediately, and this company is vital to the US national security. Or the government or an NGO needs to send you off, and you are merely a green card holder, and if you leave for an extended amount of time, your green card might be abandoned. The first thing you do is you schedule an InfoPass appointment or an urgent InfoPass appointment where you directly go to the field office that process these cases. Once you get this InfoPass appointment, or you do the emergency InfoPass appointment and you go in and you explain everything to a field office officer, they look at everything. If they approve it and they deem it urgent enough, they can take your application, approve it on the spot, print out a form, laminate it, and you can use that as a travel document. So you don't have to wait the months and months and months. You can take that and then you can buy a plane ticket immediately then and there, and the same night you can fly out. This process, as you can see, is reserved for the most urgent. If everybody is doing this, everybody has an urgent need to travel. But if it's not severe, they're not gonna do it because there's a whole processing center that's pumping out thousands of these every single day. And field office, if they have to do it, it will be overwhelming. So they only reserve it for the most severe. Now, all hope is not lost if this doesn't succeed. there's still an option 2. A lot of my clients that don't have as urgent of a reason, but still pretty sympathetic, we will file the I-131 application, prepare everything, explain it how urgent it is, and so it's in the system. And then after the application is filed, we still make the InfoPass appointment and go to the field office and beg the officer to approve it. And if they don't, which we expected because the reason is not as urgent, well, at least an I-131 application is already in the normal pipelines in the system. We can make the secondary request. Can you please at least call the service center and put an expedite request from your end? Typically, we have seen when they do that, then the process can be expedited by 10 to 15 days. And so maybe you don't get it immediately, but hey, at least maybe within 10 to 15 days, you can get it processed and get it. Again, this is still extremely reserved for the most urgent cases. If it's just because you have a travel vacation that you want to go to, it's not going to be strong enough. Next, option 3, or in a lot of cases, step 3. You filed the application already. You already went to the field office to get it expedited, and then now you call USCIS, you wait 100 minutes on the phone, and then you talk to an officer, try to escalate it to a tier 2 officer, explain the urgency of the application that you already included in your original application, and explain to them that you already went to the field office and that you want to confirm that it's been expedited. You do all of this in hopes that the tier 2 officer will bump your application up a few slots so that you can get your fingerprint notice a little bit faster. Because if you can get your fingerprint notice faster and you can get fingerprinted and you can confirm that your fingerprint is done and it's well, then you can more confidently decide to leave the US, that you don't have to stay for the entire time and wait for the reentry permit or the advanced parole application, because once it comes in, then somebody else can take it and mail it to you. A lot of our clients, they decide to leave. We get the reentry permit application. We FedEx it overseas. Then when they get it overseas, they can come back more confidently. Fingerprinting is the most urgent part. Option 4 is the way it was traditionally done before USCIS implemented this new system. After everything has been filed with the urgent reasons, the attorney takes everything and takes the urgent reason and goes to a biometric center, talks to one of the officers, and explains why it needs to be expedited. And potentially at these service centers, they may grant the exception for you to do the biometrics appointment. So that is something worth to try. Now, USCIS has already changed the entire system, so they no longer can do that, but potentially they might be able to expedite it in a few slots so they have 2 clocks running at the same time. Maybe USCIS Center is 2 months to 3 months before you can get your first biometrics appointment. Maybe at these individual local centers, they have a different queue and different line. This all makes sense, right? Once you understand the system, but it's not a guarantee. In the past, they might be able to do it immediately on the spot on the day of. Now they might not be able to, but maybe it's still within a week or 2 weeks, so it's still a couple weeks faster. Option 1 is you go directly to the field office and they can do it the day of. They can directly grant you the reentry permit. And then there's working with USCIS, with the tier 2 officers, to try to expedite the fingerprint process, because you know if you can get the fingerprint, then you can leave. Then the last option is directly going to the fingerprint office and see if they can do it. And I know this is a lot of work. I know it's running around to doing a lot of things. And unfortunately, that's a situation we are in. There's thousands and thousands of cases that USCIS have to process. So instead of each personnel processing it one by one, they computerized it so that now anybody who files a reentry permit, an advanced parole application, it goes into the system, and before people have to wait like 6 months potentially to get this fingerprint notice, now it might be shortened down to 2 to 3 months, which is already a huge feat, and there's no more backlog, and it solves all the problem to USCIS. Unfortunately, sometimes that's still not fast enough. So if you are in that small subcategory of people who cannot even wait 2 to 3 months for this reentry permit or this advanced parole, then you might need to do these other urgent methods. Luckily, USCIS still have field offices locally in everywhere so that you can go and directly appeal your case. And that's what attorneys do. And that's it for this video. I know there's so much more information that I didn't go into. What if your application gets denied? How do you come back in? How do you expedite the biometrics process specifically, and all these different things? Difference between advanced parole and reentry permit. I'll try to make a video for every single one of these. So stay tuned. If you have any questions about this process, feel free to reach out. We'd love to talk to you about it. Okay? All right. Take care. Bye-bye.